When people ask you, how are you doing? Because it's been 18 months, right? Which is just so crazy.
Almost, it's been 20 months. Like next week, yeah, will be 20 months, which is just unfathomable. I was at last night actually, I was at John Stamos's 60th birthday party, and of course, so many of Bob's close friends and family, and we were all there together celebrating. I just kept saying to so many people, I was like, you realize it's been 20 months? And people, and so many people were like, wait, what?
When you're around those guys, and I know obviously he was so close with them and you're very friendly with them. I mean, does it bring you comfort? Does it bring you warmth? And what's your relationship kind of like today?
It's so comforting to be around them. I mean, from day one, I always said it. I was the most comfortable around Bob people, like people who really knew and loved him and who he really knew and loved. Like there was a part yesterday where there was a video playing and there was a video of Bob giving a speech at John's 50th birthday. So, a decade ago. And like that just like totally hit me. And like I just, started, I mean, not bawling, but like crying. And I went up to Bob's nephew and, then like Jeff Ross and John and like a bunch of people. And they're all like, did you start bawling at that? I started bawling at that. Like everyone was like, it was very emotional for so many of us. I mean, a lot of these people have knew Bob way longer than I did, so they're all feeling it. And it's nice to be around people like that who, have that deep of a connection with him too.
I read that you had kind of dubbed it like a museum to him, like when you first moved. Is it still like that, or how is it now?
Yeah, I think I said it's just shy of a Bob museum. The most recent home that I was in after Bob passed, I just had so many of like his posters and his photos up and so many of his little knickknacks. Even like his daughter's artwork, well, makes it sound like they're kids and finger paintings, like they're brilliant professional artists in their 30s. So like their real artwork, is all around the house. Because I curated it in a sense that made me happy and made me feel good, it wasn't like heavy and it wasn't sad. It was all just kind of like happy memories and stuff.
So you moved like really far away. It was like day and night. Did you just kind of like want that, the distance a little bit from your life in Brentwood?
Yeah, because when we were in Brentwood, he had been there for 20 plus years before I had even met him. There's so much about the situation, so much about Bob that I loved being reminded of on a daily basis. I wanted him to be surrounding me in so many ways. I loved looking at photos and videos and all this stuff, but there were some things that were just, it's like you want to be reminded when you're the one reaching out to it versus it just like kind of hitting you in the face. And for some reason, being in that neighborhood was just kind of upsetting because there were so many things in places like his dry cleaner and his this and his that, it just kind of just brought like an upsetting feeling for some reason. Like certain things were very triggering to me and certain things were not at all. Like maybe even things that you would think would be triggering to me weren't,
I know traveling is such a huge part of your job with Eat Travel Rock. But now that it's been 2 years, like have you kind of adjusted, almost 2 years, have you like adjusted to the way that you travel now? Or have you always been a really good traveler kind of on your own?
Yeah, I was always a really good traveler on my own because I started, Eat Travel Rock, oh gosh, even 6 years probably before I met Bob. We just gelled so well together because he was such a good traveler also, and we were just like really great travel buddies together.
You're very, very, very strong woman. A lot of people can unfortunately relate to your story. How do you get through the tough days? What advice do you have for people?
I've been very fortunate in that I have such incredible support, and for people who don't have the support in terms of family, friends, obviously there are other places to get that type of support, be it, grief support groups and counseling and other things like that, where you can really meet people who have gone through it. Because even, in my life, a lot of the people who have been surrounding me have also dealt with a lot of loss. And so not only did they lose Bob, but they've lost others as well. And so just to be around people who have gone through it and to be with people who truly loved your loved one has been so helpful. Obviously, Bob's daughters are angels, and I, can't even imagine having gone through this without them. I mean, we're still so, so, so close. I'm able to look at Bob's life. Of course, we all wanted him here for many, many, many more years. But when you look at how short life can be and how fragile life is, and the fact that this man did live 65 incredible years where he lived life to the fullest and truly did so much in his 65 years, I feel the sense of just immense peace with the fact that he did so much while he was here and truly touched so many lives and made the world a better place. Being like, oh, it's not fair. Like, why me? Why him? It's not fair. Like, I just look at it as, how lucky am I that I got to be with that man for 6 years? Like, lucky me. You don't know how long we're here. We don't know. We don't know what tomorrow can bring. So to have 6 years with somebody that incredible that got to change the world, like, lucky me. I know that not everyone can get to that place. And I know, it's a different story if you're a mother who's lost a child, or if you're 23 years old and you just get married and you lose your 23-year-old husband. You never got to experience life with them. They never got to experience life, really. I know that's different. Every situation's different. But in my case, knowing that my husband lived this incredible life and truly made a difference in the world, like, that brings me peace. It's like I miss him and I can still have moments of sadness, of course, but ultimately it's just gratitude for what we had.
Is there like a piece of advice that you wish like someone had told you when, you first started grieving?
I did get a lot of really good advice. I was surrounded by really good people. It was in myself that, like, this kind of intuitive nature of just really focusing on the gratitude. It wasn't like somebody didn't tell me to do that. Like, I remember at his funeral, one of his best friends was giving like a speech and looked at me and was like, Kelly, like, you got robbed. It's just not fair. You got robbed. And I remember even in that moment at the funeral where I was just a mess and just devastated and could barely even breathe or function, I remember being like, no, I can't think that. I refuse to think like that. Because thinking you got robbed is just going to set you up for a completely negative mindset and mentality going forward. And I didn't want that. I knew, like, even in the worst moment, I was like, I'm going to turn this into something good. I'm going to be positive, and I'm going to think good thoughts, and I'm going to try to find the best in this scenario. And I'm not going to go down that negative road of like, this sucks. It's not fair. Why me?
Which are all valid feelings.
They are. And
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. Like, I put some of this out there even online because there are some people who resonate with it. They're like, yeah, you're right. It's not going to serve me to think the negative thoughts, but thinking in gratitude, like, will serve me. But then there are some people who went through a very, like, different type of loss, as I said, like a young child or something like that. And they're like, I can't get there, or at least not right now. And I'm like, I hear you. I hear you. I understand. I guess the point is that every thought and feeling in grief is valid. They are all understandable, and they are all valid, and they are all right, and they all come at different times. And you could be a person who is very positive, and then you have like a really negative, upsetting day where you are mad at the world and you are angry, and like, that's okay too. Like, it's all okay.
Your blog is really important to you, and I know cooking's a really big part of your life. So, was there something that you love to cook for Bob that you miss cooking that maybe you don't cook anymore, or you do when you're, feeling you need to stay connected?
I love cooking pasta, like, as an Italian, as a Sicilian, like, it's in my blood and it's my comfort food. And it's what I grew up eating pasta probably like 5 nights a week. And he would always complain about it because he was like, oh, it's carbs. I shouldn't be having carbs. But then anytime I would make it, he would love it and he would get so happy and he'd like eat the whole plate and just be so excited, even though he complained the entire time I was cooking it. I liked knowing that it was going to kind of piss him off, but it was going to make him very happy. I will say, and I can tease to you, that I do have a cookbook slash memoir type thing in the works that will be, without giving too much away, I'll just say it's basically all of Bob's favorite recipes.
Was there a comfort food of yours that he loved, and when did he eat it?
Thanksgiving dinner was his favorite. He loved making Thanksgiving dinner. He would do the turkey and like I would do all the sides, but it made him so happy to like carve the turkey, and he was always so proud of his turkey. But then his biggest comfort food, which he would probably be mad at me telling you this, but like almost every night he would make himself kind of like a sundae. Like he would have like a big, like huge bowl of ice cream and you'd put all like the hot fudge and everything on it. Like that was his nightly comfort food.
I was actually at the bowl in July to see the Beach Boys, and John was there. And out of nowhere, he just like said to the crowd, "This was Bob's guitar, and I'm gonna play it." And like his presence, like I even cried. I mean, I grew up on Full House. I was born in '86, so like he was always like the TV dad, and like it hit me. And I'm sure a lot of people in their late 30s, like myself, have told that to you. But when you see John like getting up there and still integrating Bob into his everyday life, and like you shared last night at the birthday party, like what does that mean to you, and how do you hold it together?
I know that Bob is still so present and still so top of mind and at so many people. What would make me sad is if he weren't one day and if people started to forget him or not think about him as much. I mean, I don't really see that happening because it's been almost 2 years and it's like everyone's still, I mean, very Bob focused, which like, and that makes me happy. Like knowing that he's still so important in so many people's lives. Like, as long as his memory is alive and everyone and people are thinking about him and still loving him, like, then I can rest easy. You know what I mean? So yeah, especially John, who talks about him nonstop. Like it makes me very happy.
And obviously he was so close with like John Mayer and Jeff Ross. Like there were so many people. What are your relationships like with all these people? Have they gotten closer? Are there some people that you wish you
Yeah.
were closer to, but you're not seeing them as much?
No, I'm still very, I mean, I was with Jeff last night. I'm going to be with John in 2 weeks in Florida. I'm still very, very close with both of them and so many of his friends. And I mean, I would definitely say closer because of course, when Bob was around, Bob was kind of the glue. But now that Bob's not here, like I've bonded now with them individually on my own versus bonding through Bob. So, I mean, he's still, of course, the glue because I can't be with John or Jeff for more than 5 minutes and not be talking about Bob. At the same time, it's nice to have like individual relationships with them too.
John had posted this, like, I was like almost tearing up, this beautiful video to Ashley Olsen, who just had her first baby, like just
Oh, yeah.
like reminiscing, like down memory lane. I could totally have seen Bob sharing something along those lines. I
Oh,
mean,
1,000%. It wasn't until Bob passed that everyone kind of reconnected, like at the funeral, and Ashley and MK came to town and they were at our house, and like everyone reconnected, like the whole Full House cast reconnected through the loss of Bob. But Bob was really the only one that was, stayed really close with them throughout the years. So yeah, he would have been very excited and, would have showered her with all the love and all of the, dad advice and all that stuff. Because I mean, he used to change their diapers.
this is probably like a tough question, but like, do you want to get married again? Do you think about dating, or are you just still kind of not really there?
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to it all. The nice thing is I'm not in a rush because I don't want kids and I've been married twice. And so it's like I'm open to getting married again. But it's not like I'm desperate to or counting down the minutes or the hours or anything like that. So it's like if it happens and it's right, great.
Obviously you've thrown yourself into work, which people throw themselves into all things, fitness, work, like some people go down the wrong path. You've chosen to be really strong, and that probably is why you are a great fit for special forces. So do you almost think like this experience has just made you just so tough? Do you think that it almost helped prepare you for going in for special forces?
I had kept hearing so many people tell me, just like you said, like, you're so strong, you're so strong. Of course, you don't necessarily feel that about yourself, but if, when I got to the 1.5 year point and I'm like, well, I'm still here and I'm functioning and living my life and I'm able to see the silver linings and things and I'm able to deal with this grief and this loss in a healthy manner. And ultimately, as I said, like the most important thing to me was the relationship with Bob's daughters and to have such a strong, healthy, happy, loving relationship with them. I was like, all right, I guess we're all doing something right here. When people were saying like, you're so strong, I was like, yeah, maybe I am. Like, okay, like let's put this to the test. I've always been very athletic, very strong, but I can also be lazy. Like the endurance stuff I know could kill me. And I knew that the endurance stuff was going to get me at some point. But with the show, they say like this is a mental game. I mean, otherwise, if it was not a mental game, then it would be all the Olympians and the professional athletes are the ones that are winning. But like if you look at last season, Hannah Brown, who is not an Olympian nor an athlete, won. So that was inspiring to me. And I just felt that, okay, this could be something that's up my alley because I know I do have this mental toughness in an aspect of it, and then I know physically I also can be very strong. So like how far can I push myself physically when you're running on the treadmill and your body's like, okay, take a break and walk now? It's like, no, do you just keep saying, telling yourself, no, keep going? And that's what I did, even training for this leading up to it. I was like running on, like, I hadn't run a mile straight since probably high school. So I was like really proud of myself. I was like, oh, okay, if I can do that, then let me load up my backpack with 30 pounds and start running up my hill, like full speed, like running up the hill. And like those are things I was doing to train, like listening to Eye of the Tiger. And then when I got to New Zealand, I was training every day by running on the treadmill with my combat boots on, like at full speed. That's the very long answer to your question, but very intense. And of course, my body I knew was going to be physically very punished, and it was. But I told myself that I wouldn't quit or give up. I said, I will go until I'm either injured and I can't, or my body just physically breaks down. And like, that's what I did. I did not quit. I went until like my body was just a pile of mush.
Do you think Bob would like get a kick out of it that you did it, or do you think he'd be
He
like,
would be so proud of me, and he would be like, look at my wife, like, look what she did. Like, he would be very excited. But initially, like, if I would have pitched this to him, like, by the way, I got this offer, he would have thought I was crazy. He would have been asking so many questions about like the safety and how do they make sure you're safe. And I don't like that I'm not going to be able to talk to you for, however long. I don't like this. He would be like, I don't understand how you're doing that. And like, we have to go to the bathroom in a bucket outside. And he would be like, absolutely not. So he would think that was crazy. But then ultimately, he'd be very proud of me.
that's incredible. You have to like run a marathon or something next.
That's the endurance thing. That's the endurance thing that I don't like.
Was Bob ever interested in army training or special forces training? And, do you think he could have predicted you'd go on this show, or do you think he would have talked to you out of it?
Him knowing that I'm pretty adventurous, I learn how to ride motorcycles for a project with Harley Davidson and Rolling Stone, and I snowboard and I scuba dive and I do like more adventurous things. I think it wouldn't have been too far out of his realm of possibility for me.
Well, congratulations. I'm looking
Thank
forward to
you.
watching your journey, and thanks again.
Thank you so much. Chat soon.
Bye.
Bye.